Hi everyone. Total surface area of the earth is 197 million square miles. 71% of the earth has been covered by ocean, or 139 million square miles. 29% covered by land, or 58 million square miles. One third, or 33% of the earth has been covered by desert. Desert are dry area that have rainfall or a snowfall less than 10 inches every year. So 10% of the land has been covered with a cold desert, because we have cold desert and hot desert. Cold desert are North Pole and South Pole. When we have summer in North Pole, we have winter in South Pole. During the summer, whether it is North or South Pole, the sun is always above the horizon. So we have 24 hours sunlight. But during the winter in North and South, the sun is below the horizon. So they have total 24 hours of darkness. The only light they have, it is a moonlight or a star. So how come both South and North Pole are approximately 5.5 million square miles? But from total of the ice, 90% are in South Pole, 10% in North Pole. South Pole is much colder. There is two reasons behind it. One is geographic reason, the other is albedo effect. First, I start from geographic reason. Look at the North Pole. First of all, North Pole is the approximately enclosed ocean surrounded by some adjacent seas and few countries. Adjacent sea and some countries inside the circle called Arctic. Countries like part of Russia, part of Canada, part of Alaska, Sweden, Norway, Finland, Denmark, Iceland, most of Greenland, and on is here including Arctic. The ocean in the center is approximately 4,000 meters or 2.5 miles deep. And it has been covered 20 to 50% of it with sea ice. But look at the South Pole. South Pole is elevated land. This is the first circle that's surrounded with adjacent seas and completely surrounded by oceans. Inside this circle called Antarctica. South Pole, we can say it is the tallest, it is the windiest, driest, and coldest continent on Earth. First of all, I want to show you a picture. There are 400 lakes hidden under all this thick ice. The South Pole has lots of mountains. Mount Kirkpatrick are the tallest mountain here. These mountains are as wide as the European Alps. First of all, the mountains are 14,855 feet tall, but the 98% of the South Pole has been covered with ice sheet, thick ice sheet. Only 2% and some tip of the mountain, because the snow actually slipped down, and some area in East South Pole, the height of the ice sheet are 15,670 feet tall. Imagine how tall are these ice sheets. I want to show you something else. Many countries, actually 9 countries, they have a research station Here in the green, this is a Vostok station, belonged to Russia and was established 1957, top of the biggest lake, Vostok. And the height of the snow here is 11,444 feet. That is the coldest area in South Pole. America has two stations. One of these stations here with the pink color, we call it Amundsen Smith South Station. Then the snow right now, it is 9,300 feet tall. But established 1956, by 1975 there was covered with the snow. Look at the dome, only you can see part of the dome. Even though in South Pole, USA have a crew that they plow all the snow. So they had to, year 1975, rebuild the research station and rebuilt it on the top of the tall columns. Anyway, let me go to the second reason that why South Pole is the coldest. That is albedo effect. First of all, the temperature of the earth depends on how much sun's radiation absorbed by land, by ocean, by atmosphere, and how much of this energy reflect as a heat to our atmosphere and space. So the amount of the heat that reflect or measurement of this heat called albedo. A value of albedo ranges from 0 to 1. When we say pitch black is 0 albedo, means it is a perfect absorber. But the white color has a perfect reflector. That is the reason they tell us an albedo of 1. We have to wear a white color in the summer to feel cooler. I want to show you few sources and albedo that help us to understand why the South Pole is much colder. First was, of course, the white color. The second one is a mirror. They reflect 85 to 99% of sun's radiation. The third one is a snow, and then reflect 90% of the radiation. And the fourth one is ice, reflect 84%. Snow has a lot of air bubbles. Supposedly these are a snow. So that is the reason they look very white and reflect 90%. But the ice are packed snow. They got rid of most or all of air bubble. Also, why do we see that the ice mountain or ice sheets blue color? Because they absorb some red spectra of light and reflect a tint of blue color. That's why we see them blue colors. Then the number 5 is cloud. Of course, it depends on how much cloud we have in the sky. Even in sunny days, we have cloud in the sky. They reflect approximately 74% of sun's radiation. If the clouds are low and thick, they absorb a lot of sun radiation. So surface of the earth stay cool. But if the clouds are high and thin, they absorb a little bit sun's radiation. Then sun radiation is going to hit the earth, reflect back as an infrared light. Then they also cloud absorb some of this infrared light and then reflect back some heat to our atmosphere. So in that case, the surface of earth and atmosphere become warmer. Okay. Number C, after the cloud, we have sea ice that reflect approximately 50 to 70% of the sun radiation, and number 8 is a glacier, reflect 40%. I have to explain something for you. In the water molecules are tightly packed and so they are denser than ice. So ice, the molecule are loose. That is why they expand. That's why they have more volume. That's why they are lighter and they float in the water. So during the winter, and most of the ice seas are in Arctic, some in the Antarctica, but during the cold weather, some of the water convert to icy and then they rises. You can see that, but they are not deep. They are 2 to 3 meter deep. But glacier are different than sea ice. Glacier originate from the land. A piece of ice broke down and fall in the ocean or in the sea, and then they float in the water and they move under their own weight. And if they are in the ocean, of course, the wave help them to move downward. And glacier have some air bubble in them. So the way I mentioned, reflect 40% of the light. After that, number 8 is sand. Sand reflect approximately 40% of the sun radiation, absorb 60. That is why when we are in the beaches, we feel the sands are very hot. But worse than those, we can say that number 9 is land and ground. Last week, after one rainy day, I went and dig some of the ground. I want to plant some flower. And I got busy. After an hour, I came back. All the hole were dry because they absorb 70% of sun radiation and reflect only 30%. Grassland are even worse than that, reflect 20% of radiation. That is why every day we have to water our lawn. And all the trees and forests are even worse. They reflect 10%, absorb 90%. If we have trees in the pot, we have to water them definitely once a week. Even though the trees, they have very tall roots that help them stay cool. Then we are going to have seawater or ocean water. Ocean waters, I show you the other picture again to see that they actually absorb 94% and reflect only 6% of radiation out. That was actually a picture of glacier. That glacier are usually 4 to 5 meter tall. And you see, because of accumulation of water in the ocean, they look very dark. That is why they absorb 94% of radiation. As the color is darker, they absorb more, reflect less. So that is the reason these glaciers in North Pole, they melt. Because they are surrounded sea ices and glacier with the water. The next one, or number 13, is asphalt. If they are fresh asphalt, they reflect only 4 to 5%. If they are dry asphalt, reflect 10%. That is why the cities are getting warmer. You see all the highways, all the roads, some of the roof, they have asphalt shingle. So asphalt absorb at least the 95 to 96% of radiation and makes the cities very warm. And finally here we have a black, pitch black that I mentioned, that they absorb all of sun radiation. So let me show you this chart. We compare the temperature in the North Pole and South Pole. First of all, look at the North Pole, the first. During the summer, the temperature is 32 degrees Fahrenheit or 0 degrees Celsius. And in winter, both minus 40 degrees Celsius is equal minus 40 degrees Fahrenheit. We have to remember, not only sea ice are surrounded by ocean, the way I mentioned, and absorb 94% of sun radiation, so they have lower melting temperature, minus 1.8 degrees Celsius, which is 28.8 degree Fahrenheit. That helped more the sea ice and glacier melt in North Pole. But look at the South Pole. First of all, the summer. The summer temperature is minus 28 degrees Celsius, which is minus 18 degrees Fahrenheit. And in winter, the temperature minus 60 degrees Celsius, which is minus 76 degrees Fahrenheit. Does any snow can melt in this temperature? And remember that every year approximately they have 2 inches of snow all over the South Pole. And snow reflect 90% of the sun radiation and keep the ice sheet cooler. So that is the reason also in South Pole the ice cannot melt in this temperature. Next lecture or in 3 weeks, I'm going to explain and give you 5 reasons that the ice are melting. Of course, I'm sure you know 1 reason, but the other 4 reasons you probably haven't heard about it. But the temperature you saw in South Pole are not the coldest temperature. I mentioned from the year 1957, Russia was measuring temperature in Vostok, but from year 1979 till 2018, they had satellite. What they did, they had 6 cones. From cone number A to cone number F, they spread them different area in South Pole. And with radiometer, a satellite, they were measuring the temperature in this area. They recorded in the year 1983, the temperature dropped to minus 128 degrees Fahrenheit, which is minus 89 degrees Celsius. But in year 2018, the temperature broke the record of minus 144 degrees Fahrenheit, which is minus 98 degrees Celsius. And the few scientists, including the Patrick Leahy of Germany and also the other Thomas Sowell of America, they also approved this experiment. I want to introduce 2 very honest and outstanding scientists, climatologists, Roy Spencer and John Christie. These 2 scientists, year 1991, received the Medal of Exceptional Scientific Performance from NASA. Right now they are teaching in the University of Alabama in Huntsville. And they also are principal researcher of satellite. This university had with the same name, plus 2 other satellites. Satellite Aqua and Satellite Terra, which belong to NASA. These 3 satellites, they have 15 equipment in this satellite that they measure the surface temperature and different level of the atmosphere. They also announced that year 2018, 100 different locations in South Pole, the temperature was minus 144 degrees Fahrenheit, which is minus 98 degrees Celsius. Why do I mention this? Because February 2020, few months ago, there were 2 weather stations here. This is Antarctica Peninsula. That hot air blow from South America, and the temperature of thermometers rose 20 degrees, and media went crazy. They exaggerated, oh, South Pole, the ices are melting 3 times more than before. Some say 6 times that before. These are misleading information. I'll show you the temperature. Could it be possible? Temperature minus 98 degrees Celsius, the snow can melt. In a month and a half, I am going to have a nice lecture about all of the tools and equipment that around the world they are measuring the temperature, plus why some scientists believe we have equilibrium, means we have a balance in our temperature. Till the next 3 weeks, I hope you stay healthy and happy. Bye everyone.